turn. Gonna get out of it. Turn. So I want you to pull it down. Pull it down. I want a bit more. Pull.
Throughout history, mankind has been obsessed with flight. And for inspiration, he only needed look to the skies. Pendulum Control is the tale of two determined characters working together to enable one of them, Ajmal Samuel, to soar like an eagle. In order to achieve that, he and instructor Matthew Van Zyl face hurdles peculiar to Ajmal's circumstances. Challenges which will make an already difficult task daunting. This is a moment Ajmal Samuel has been anticipating for a very long time. He is on a hillside in Sedgefield on South Africa's south coast. Ajmal Samuel, Hong Kong-based businessman, endurance athlete and, through his own foundation, an outspoken advocate for disabled rights, is finally at Sedgefield, some 200 kilometers east of Cape Town, South Africa. Sedgefield is one of the world's leading centers for paragliding, and Ajmal is here to continue a process with the man he hopes can help him become one of the world's few disabled, licensed adaptive paraglider pilots. He arrived feeling confident, and the sight of fellow paragliders taking to the sky fills him with excitement. But confident or not, he is well aware that over the coming days, the task he faces is a challenging one. Ajmal's hopes rest on the capable shoulders of Matthew Van Zyl, a leading member of Cape Town's tight-knit paragliding community. A vastly experienced flight instructor, he has coached countless students through the taxiing process, involved in becoming a licensed paraglider pilot. But Matthew has never before taught a student in Ajmal's situation. Ever since he almost met an early end in a vehicle that plummeted down a Kashmir ravine in 1987, Ajmal has been paraplegic. Since that life-altering moment, he has fought to break the glass ceiling imposed on the lives of disabled people like himself. This wildly ambitious trip halfway across the globe is the latest in a long line of Ajmal's schemes to prove the doubters wrong. If he arrived in South Africa hoping that his new teacher would be impressed by his paragliding efforts in Taiwan and Hong Kong, Ajmal was in for a disappointment. Proud of his recent exploits on a Taiwan hillside, he was nonplussed by Matthew's cool reaction to the footage from those adventures. Where Ajmal saw remarkable progress towards proficient flying, Matthew reacted with caution because he saw a need for relearning, for unraveling dangerously bad habits before it was too late. Like it or not, it was time for Ajmal to go back to basics.
So now you have an idea what I did.
Ajmal wants to fly, but first, Matthew will make him relearn everything he thought he already knew, without leaving the ground.
Observation skill, because you've got a lot of pilots and a lot of Europeans come here and they're flying to each other here and now.
So far as his coach is concerned, there is no going up for Ajmal before he knows how to get back to Earth safely.
My own flights, I need you to guide me on my flights.
While others might have seen Matthew's initial reaction to the Taiwan footage as a setback, Ajmal finds other things to focus on. Positive elements of the far-reaching discussion that, to the eternally optimistic Ajmal, point to good times ahead and reassure him about how right he had been to select Matthew as his teacher.
Now they say in the sport there's a bucket full of luck and a bucket full of skill. Yeah. And you must fill up your bucket with skill before a bucket of luck runs out. So now this is the first.
While in conversation with Matthew, Ajmal realized that this adventure was not just about learning to navigate the skies. It was about rewriting the narrative of disability. Matthew's commitment to Ajmal's journey, his unwavering support, became key to their discussions of the intricacies of flight, the technicalities that would soon become second nature. Every detail mattered: the way Matthew described the rush of air beneath the wings, the precision of maneuvers that would soon define his willing student's ascent. His patience and expertise illuminated a path forward, where Ajmal saw challenges becoming opportunities and fears turning into triumphs. Ajmal came all the way to South Africa to fly his customized paraglider wing. But the closest he will get to flying today will be sitting in his chair, running his hands over virtually every square centimeter of fabric, every millimeter of cord or strapping, familiarizing himself over and over with lists of procedures that must become second nature, because they could save his life.
Wheel around it for me on the side. All right.
Matthew drums instructions into his student with a relentlessness that reflects how seriously he believes they could protect Ajmal from disaster.
So here I go, cell by cell. Just have a look. Stitching is good. Everything is good. Inspect your glider. As you go, you're looking for the attachment points. You're looking at your stitching.
For hour after hour, Ajmal must soak up a torrent of instructional knowledge, along with occasionally tangential bouts of philosophical rambling from his instructor, who is already coming across as something of a guru.
Look at the windsock and start judging what that angle would be. And the more we do that, the easier it is.
After 9 years and thousands of flights and too many students to count, Matthew's grasp of what has become his life's vocation is a heady mix of wisdom acquired and hard lessons learned.
You start flying 1 second ahead of your glider, and you see those trees coming, and you, based on what the glider is telling me in this very moment, am I rising? Am I sinking? If I'm sinking in a second from now, I'm going to be 1 or 2 meters further down. I'm lifting now. I'm in lifty air. What's the air telling me around me?
In situations where only his deeply ingrained skills and guile and quick thinking and the juggling of dozens of elements in and out of his control can possibly keep him alive. The same goes for his students. After the adrenaline-filled experience that was ridge-soaring with Matthew at the controls, and barely 24 hours into his training course, Ajmal finds himself in his custom chair, ready to fly. He had hardly touched down from the tandem flight before Matthew began drilling Ajmal to prepare himself mentally for flight, while at the same time meticulously going through pre-flight checklists. This is it. His first attempts at solo flight under Matthew's guidance. His head is an echo chamber filled with a tangle of complex instructions. Ajmal trusts Matthew's guidance implicitly, but there remains the difficulty of translating those instructions into success. Strapped in and awaiting the whisper of the wind, Ajmal and Matthew are ready to go. Matthew's instructions are finely tuned in anticipation of the moment Ajmal lifts off in his chair, laying the circumstances required for a smooth transition into the skies. Not that getting airborne proves simple. Launching isn't merely pushing forward. It's about timing, balance, and symmetry. Matthew's words echo in Ajmal's head. Guide the glider up, brake check. It's a dance between wind and will, a moment of readiness before flight. Ajmal is learning that this tough process is all about moments, experiencing them, learning from them, and grabbing them when opportunities come along. Suddenly, he senses the glider's moment of readiness when it becomes like a coiled spring. But it is another moment of false hope that he has to put down vital experience. Matthew's guidance over the radio is precise, his expertise evident in every maneuver dictated, in every calm word spoken. Each launch sees critical refinements in Ajmal's technique, a reminder to him that control isn't just in the skies, but in every grounded preparation.
All right, don't come closer to the ridge. The wind is going to try and weather vane you into the ridge, so keep a right body lean out to the ocean.
While Ajmal experiences the joy of soaring against a deep blue sky, Matthew uses his radio to relay instructions.
It's coming.
He tells Ajmal how to handle the ridge and to keep his eye on the windsock to carefully note wind direction in order to calculate his landing approach.
So if anything happens,
He guides Ajmal towards the lower landing zone.
your body lean towards the ridge, and the wind, with it being a southeast, it's pushing you into the ridge. If anything goes wrong, it goes wrong very quickly.
The instructor coaches his student on how to bleed off altitude and reminds him not to get any closer to the ridge.
Don't come closer to the ridge. Stay out of the field we are now. So turn it back to ocean. Now listen. All right, you're in sync. I don't want you to come any closer to the ridge. So now, gauge your height. Start turning to the right. 45 degrees to your right. 45 degrees to your right. Keep that turn. Great. Keep that turn. You're still too high. Now fly straight. Fly straight now. Very nice. Okay, concentrate on the pendulum control. Don't overcompensate left or right. Stay in that sync. Stay in that sync. Keep 10% brakes on. There you go. Doing well. Doing well. Stay in that sync. Keep flying straight. Alright, now I want you to turn a little bit more to your left, a little bit more to your left. Alright, fly straight until you get to the ground, until you land. A little bit to your right, a few degrees to your right, a few degrees to your right. Alright, brake on, 10% brake on. Alright, good. So now 2, 3, 4 meters above the ground, you're going to give it a little bit of hands up so it can accelerate. You're going to do a nice flare when you get down to the ground. Hands up a little bit, regain energy, okay. And flare. Put the one wing down, right hand down, right hand down, right hand down. Alright, very well. Nice, Admiral. We're getting in the car, coming down to pick you up. Remember to switch the radio off.
Good. AJ?
Yeah.
Nice. Well done.
Thank you.
How was your first flight?
Second flight
Second flight? First one of the day.
of the day, yeah. Okay, so now it was okay.
Yes.
The main thing was landing.
Landing?
Actually, I enjoyed
Did
it
you
a lot.
land into wind?
I enjoyed the
ridge soaring?
It was just absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
I wanted to do more.
Ajmal
but,
is understandably euphoric. After only 2 days in South Africa under Matthew's tutelage, he already has successful takeoffs and landings under his
Still
belt.
experienced a lot of lift.
difficult to lose altitude. I was
Yes.
braking a lot, but still difficult.
The next morning, Matthew lays out his expectations for the day, adding the caveat about how, as always when flying, and even more so when teaching someone to fly, all hopes and plans are subject to the weather.
Okay. This morning still a little bit of fog hanging around from yesterday. So I think we have the possibility of a little bit of overdevelopment this morning. So we're going to have to watch how fast the clouds form and whether we can get up high. We don't want to get lost in the clouds.
Yeah.
So we fly VFRs, visual flight rules.
Yeah.
That means we can only fly when we can see.
Yeah.
So we can't end up in the clouds.
Yeah.
Because we're not instrument rated.
That's right.
It looks like mostly every site will work today.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to have to be quick on the draw whether we choose to stay at sedge. If conditions overdevelop and get too strong, we've got to move to map. Make the best out of today. Try and get those flights done.
Cool.
Alright, so I think we can start getting going.
Having pulled off several successful flights in short order, Ajmal now hopes to achieve a top landing. This is where, instead of descending from a takeoff point to a separate lower landing zone, the pilot uses his flight skills to not only maintain, but to gain elevation, soar further above the hills, and return to the same altitude at the same point where he took off. At this stage in his learning on only day 3 of his course, he knows that it is an ambitious call, because according to Matthew, when he was training, he didn't achieve a top landing until day 10.
So now you're flying with other pilots. Indicate with your head before you turn.
Now a little bit closer to the ridge. Now I want you to do short 180s in the lift. Try and get altitude. We're going to bring you in for a top landing. Steady your hands. Put a brake on. Grab towards me. Grab towards me. Grab towards me. Keep it steady. Hold those brakes. Hold those brakes. Hold it there. Hold it there. Hands up.
Nice top landings.
I am above the.
Above cloud 9.
I can never imagine that I did two top
There you
landings.
go, yes, it was perfect conditions. That last hour of the day was magic. It was magic. Flying the BGD Magic in magic conditions.
It suddenly came out of the blue.
Yeah,
Top land.
yeah.
And now I get the whole idea. I was always thinking, how do the guys come in and they're just holding there? You know,
Because the wind is coming
yeah,
in.
the wind is coming there. It's just
So your
pushing the
glide
back.
radius is out. You just kind of keep on the brakes, keep on the brakes, keep on the brakes.
Slowly stop.
Hop.
Slowly, whoop.
Touch down. Nice. And that was perfect wind practice.
Yeah.
Because that was almost a magic air. That was almost the end of day valley release where it's all the lift just went up. It was butter smooth. It was thick air, very smooth. Easiest conditions to practice your first top landings in. Not nearly as rough as today when I was top landing.
Yeah.
Map offers the kind of coastal sight that takes the breath away from first-time visitors. But Ajmal has to block out distractions as he concentrates yet again on pre-flight checks before tackling the new takeoff zone.
You're the pilot here. You want to fly, you got to show me.
Yes.
Show me you need it. You want it. You got to start acting like a pilot. You're doing your pre-flight checks.
Yeah.
You're checking your hand physically.
Black strap needs to be tightened.
1, 2.
Loud and clear.
Ajmal takes off, the chair oscillating wildly for long seconds before stability is regained. The sheer drop in the terrain provides elevation that in a matter of seconds fires student and wing hundreds of feet into the air. Matthew is left alone with his thoughts. There is little he can do to influence what comes next. So long as Ajmal remains in view and in radio contact, Matthew can exercise some control. But when he disappears entirely from line of sight, the tension soars.
Ajmal, I can't see you.
I have landed.
On the beach? On the beach, come in.
I have landed on the beach.
All right, we're coming down.
Exit.
Interesting launch,
I
yeah.
think we should get a little bit of tree clipping there, a bit of grass clipping.
Yeah.
Jesus, that was very close.
Yeah, over control.
Too much, right?
Too much from him. Too much over control.
So he was what, 4 inches above the tree? What happened?
No,
if
he was touching the tree.
So what if it had gone into them? What would have happened?
Then he would have fell in the tree and his ladder would have collapsed and he was in the tree and we would have gone bundu bashing right now. Then we would have had a great day in Africa.
But it wouldn't have. It was unlikely he would have been injured. We don't know. It's difficult to know. Depends what kind of size tree it hits, right?
It doesn't depend on the trees. It's the dead branches that can stick into your. As you fall down, because he's dead weight, right? So
Yeah.
it's all the dead branches sticking into him.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Anyway, interesting.
Yeah.
During the drive down to the beach to collect Ajmal, Matthew's feelings about the peculiar challenges his student presents pour out.
But that happens. It's low wind now, and he's used to his last 2 flights in stronger wind in sedge. So now all of a sudden the glider took longer to react, and he's very stiff for his age. This happens in this sport. It's a sport for youngsters. The older you get, the stiffer you are, the more set in your ways you are. He's a thinker, he's a overanalyzer, he's an analytical man. This sport almost requires you to not think. It's more about training the subconscious, about the reacting time. React to what the glider is telling you in the moment it's telling you. Once you think what you have to do, it's over. When I was giving the instructions there on turn left, turn right, it was a full second until he reacted on my commands. By that time, it's too late. Then he reacts, overreacts, and the glider takes time to react, and there's no wind to keep him up. So yeah, just a little bit of delayed reaction and a little slow, and I feel a little bit too much thinking instead of just doing. So he's on the beach, he's sitting there in the sun, on our way down to get him.
And sure, he has this 10 minutes to sit and think. There's going to be a lot of contemplation going on in his head right now of what actually happened. So we had a nice stable launch, but once he was in the air by himself and had to do the correct inputs, there was a little bit of pendulum. That's a classic student move. They heard it from the instructor up there. They all do it.
I was quite far away from it.
I mean, it's a new way of stretching the mind now. You've never done this before. Something happened from when we used to be kids until we turned into adults. You give a kid the bike, gets up, he falls down, gets up again, and there he goes. He never looks back. You give an adult a bike, and they ask too many questions. But what if? But what that? How do I steer? What do I do? And almost overthink the process and talk themselves out of getting on the bike in the first place.
For 2 solid days, almost every moment Ajmal has not spent flying, he has spent in deep discussion with his teacher. Matthew is relentless in the way he drums instructions into his student. The factors to be taken into account at seemingly every moment on every flight are endless. Wind directions, hand positions, countering the beginner's curse of intense oscillations causing a pendulum effect. Weight distribution, the need to fly with his mind 1 or 2 seconds ahead of his glider, climbing to gain needed altitude, scrubbing off height to prepare for landing, glide ratios, beach landings, top landings, upwind, downwind, the vital need to observe what is going on instead of letting your nerves take over. Even the crucial importance of Ajmal keeping a detailed log entry for every flight in his life from now on. Ajmal's head was already buzzing that morning when Matthew arrived to pick him up, bearing the good news that something called a post-frontal is causing lots of instability in the air. And that's what we like, he said. We might get really high and touch the clouds. With efficiency born of thousands of routine preparations, soon Matthew sets him up for yet another takeoff at MAP. The new takeoff point is daunting because of the way, when he clears the edge of the takeoff slope, Ajmal's vision is suddenly filled with an unbroken panorama of mighty ocean breakers that have traveled thousands of miles without interruption, only to meet their ends on the spectacular African coast spread out below.
Once you experience lift now on the ridge, you inflate the body and continue with your turn. Continue with your turn, continue with your turn, continue with your turn, continue that turn. Continue that turn. Get closer to the ridge. Get closer, ridge. Keep that to ridge. Smooth turn. Keep on turning. Keep on turning. Keep on turning. Keep on turning. Keep that heading. fly straight, keep that heading. A little bit out to ocean. So now you use your brake, steer out towards the ocean a bit, but you keep your body lean towards the ridge. Alright, fly straight there.
Alright, keep it just there, these two pilots coming. After these two pilots, you turn in a little bit more to your left. Now you can turn in a little bit. Turn in, turn in, turn in. Turn in, turn in.
The day after the crash, Ajmal and Matthew sit down to discuss how it happened. Ajmal's calm recollection of exactly what happened
I'm not telling you to go 180, so please let this be the last turn that I'm not instructing you to do.
shows his ability to
So
keep
why
a
I
clear
ended up
head
there?
under fire.
Actually, I knew I
As
was
he
going to
says,
end up
he is a military man.
there. You have to understand my psyche. I'm a military guy. You gave me an order then, okay? You told me, you don't make any turns till I tell you. Okay, I could see the trees coming towards me. So I prepared myself. I'm going down into the trees.
Okay.
I really prepared I said, I'm going down.
Where is he? Which tree?
On the south side. He landed in the trees. He is okay, but it's going to be a mission to get to him now. So I'm going to make my way through and see if I can make a pathway through to him. But this might take us the best part of today.
I'm going down like this, sinking like crazy, like a brick. And I can see these trees coming right in front of me. Okay, and that is why I made a turn. I could see I'm going to run go straight into the trees. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So you can see what I can't see,
Yeah.
right? So it's your responsibility to stay away from trees.
Yeah, so-
But this turn I have no problem with. I have no problem with you turning earlier than what I suggest you turn. The problem where I had, we were going to find on this, is when you face towards the mountain, where
Yeah.
you do more than a 180 turn and you face towards
So
the
means
mountain.
when I go around and then come here. That's the problem, yeah?
It was a normal turn. We've practiced that turn so many times
Yeah.
now. My problem was where you face in towards the mountain,
okay.
which you did twice, which once on Sedgefield. Then I said, well,
Yeah.
now you have to make a full 360.
I was having a
All right.
nice nap
Then the
before you
same
guys came
happened
over.
within that one flight. It happened twice, where you faced in towards us. I don't have no problem with
So
that.
I tell you my what I from up there, my small little brain, what was it? It was
Yes.
thinking.
Yeah.
I thought that you were not happy that I turned before because if you go back here, I sort of got the idea. I knew what was going on. We were
Yeah.
looking for a lift on this end, and we were looking lift on that end,
Yeah.
and we were trying to go up in altitude. Okay. So when on that end, on the house end, there was a lot of lift coming up. So when I was hitting the house, near the house, I was going up. I was quite comfortable when I was going in that direction.
Yeah.
When I was coming in this direction, it was going down. And I noticed something else. When the V finished, once I got over that ridge, there was lift.
Yes.
But I was not able to get to that ridge because my glider sank so much.
I guess not.
didn't see what happened. And I'm telling you, it was too much brake. It's the only thing it could be. Control was nice. Lifted off. Started flying. You were higher than those bushes. Only thing that could have induced this was could be brake.
Be careful. What I felt, I was
After pulling brake. I didn't see. We'll have a look at the video, but I can tell you almost 99% that the glider's flying. You're keeping just enough pressure to feel the wing, but you're not stopping the wing. The wing wants to fly. The takeoff, it's gathering speed now. It's creating speed. It's generating that into, turning that into lift. It wants to go. It wants to fly. The only reason it's not flying is if we're holding it back.
So, we have a bit of a predicament right now because yesterday we seem to have misplaced our glider, and we tried to look for it, but it seems that this really has disappeared, and a lot, I think, got to do with us being occupied in all sort of different things. Didn't really focus on making sure that everything was in the car.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we think back about what happened, you landed on the beach.
Yeah.
I brought the glider up. We realized your wheelchair
Wasn't there.
And I think that's the point where the focus started shifting on getting you in the vehicle and getting back to the top. And then that saw us yesterday afternoon doing a lot of theory, going to the social last night.
Yeah.
And then we only realized this morning when we went back to Sage
To fly.
I got the car out of the car, and I got my chair out of the car, and I thought, oh,
there's no glider.
After weighing up what they know about how the glider went missing, and showing a talent for understatement regarding the potential risk involved in acting upon what he has learned, Matthew takes it upon himself to investigate.
So we're gonna go look for the glider. I've been talking to the local surfer kids and the local gents hanging around at the coffee shop. They've informed me that there's somewhat of an informal settlement up here in the bushes. It sounds like a cave that a few homeless kids are living in. Seeing that it's so close here to the beach, it makes sense, right? It's the only place that might be worth investigating. So I think let's arm ourselves with we've got what's known as a sambok here, and we've got some pepper spray, so I'm sure we'll be safe. But let's go and just ask a few questions, just ask around. Maybe someone's seen the wing, and if it's been floating around, they can't do anything with it. They'll be happy to have a couple of $100 just for a reward. And look, we need a glider, so let's go and have a look.
No one here knows whoever handles this.
is it?
That is 100% true.
Yeah, but maybe someone will know of somebody, and maybe the word comes.
I'm the guy who knows. I'm the guy who knows. I'm the guy who knows. I'm the guy that
Checks and knows.
operates. Everyone comes to me. I'm the net and the gate. You understand that? So when you come, and
The self-appointed gatekeeper doesn't appear to pose any threat, but nor does he offer any assistance, even when Matthew points out that there could be a reward if the wing is returned. Matthew leaves, knowing nothing more than when he arrived. Back at the cafe where Ajmal awaits news of the search for the wing, he reacts with characteristic calm, and even manages to see a positive side to the mishap when he reveals misgivings he had over the performance of the lost wing.
They know, at least.
They know, and they'll put the word out.
Yeah, amongst their own. So actually this shoot was really on the maximum or top end of weight range.
The weight range,
yeah.
yes.
So it was giving me a lot of issues already. I was feeling uncomfortable many times. The sink rate was very high. So actually, as a matter of fact, we were talking already to order a new one.
Yes.
So
the next size up.
Next size up. So in a way, strange things happen in a strange way. So maybe this is the reason. I take it as this is the way I take it. So maybe this is a good way to look at it. That we are going to get the correct glider to match the chair, and especially when I'm training. So my training happens in the proper glider.
Ajmal's ability to yet again put a glass-is-half-full spin on what threatens to become a costly, time-consuming setback turns out to be a positive landmark on his unlikely trek towards qualifying for a license to fly paragliders. In recent days, he and Matthew had discussed the possibility that Ajmal's colourful, custom-made wing might be holding him back. Matthew has done the calculations and is sure that, at best, the combined weight of Ajmal and the wheelchair is at the top end of the wing's capacity. This makes getting airborne more of a struggle, which in turn often translates into increased oscillations, one of the many enemies of the inexperienced paraglider. When, especially on takeoff, the flyer swings, pendulum-like to one side, a common reaction is to overcorrect, often repeatedly, creating ever more wild side-to-side swings. This typically occurs at the precise moment when the flyer most needs to gain elevation. Over the course of recent lessons, such oscillations had even led to Ajmal clipping trees during takeoff, minor events that, with just a little less elevation, could easily have become serious accidents. With Ajmal's permission, Matthew contacts Bruce Goldsmith Design, a highly regarded company known throughout the paragliding world as BGD. Even as communications with BGD explore how quickly a new wing might be shipped from the factory in Sri Lanka to Matthew in South Africa, an ideal solution to Ajmal's time-critical needs presents itself much closer to home. Peter Wallinder, who operates a paragliding business from Sedgefield, offers the rental of a larger wing. Its increased size will provide greater lift, an improved glide ratio, and crucially, a lower sink rate, the speed with which a wing and its pilot lose altitude in any given set of circumstances. Improved glide ratios and sink rates make for more measured, controlled flights and approaches to landing, all of which considerably improves safety. The rented wing turns out to be so ideal for the combined weight of Ajmal and his wheelchair that its introduction to Ajmal's toolset immediately elevates his learning curve. And so, from an unforeseeable situation that threatens to derail his entire training course, Ajmal, with help from Matthew and Peter, creates a fresh situation that sets him soaring.
Downwind, so you got to turn into the wind. And pull them. Pull them down. Good more. Pull them. Pull them. Pull. Look at the tips of your wings. They want to fold in. Pull them.
Pulling them.
And go out for landing. Nice. Right hand down. Right hand down. Right hand down. Right hand down.
Even before he first sat down with Matthew a few days earlier, Ajmal was well versed in the course he had traveled half the world to embark upon. so he understood that it would take however many days the weather permitted.
The body lean to the left, the venturi starting to get hold of you and suck you into the right. So get out of it. Jump to split A. Right. So I want you to pull it down. Pull it down, pull it down, pull it down. Come on, a bit more. Pull. Brakes on now, brakes on. Aim for the parking lot. A lot more to your left, to the parking lot. Yes. Out a little bit, now in a little bit, left. Come turn left and turn in. Turn into the parking lot. A little bit more to your left. Full clear. Nice. A little bit closer to the parking lot, please.
I am very close to the parking lot.
He also knew there was one cast iron requirement that he successfully carried out 35 flights totaling in excess of 4 hours of flight time, all painstakingly recorded in his new logbook. Partly by accident, but also partly due to Ajmal's irrepressible optimism, the improved flight capabilities of the new wing allow him to tackle ever more challenging situations. At not far north of the Roaring Forties, the southern tip of Africa delivers climatic conditions that seldom stay the same for very long, which makes for a flying world filled with lessons delivered under fresh learning conditions.
Make a wrap, and pull. Wrap as many times as you can and pull.
At Sedgefield and Map of Africa, Ajmal stretches his wings on soaring flights that grow in length and ambition and illustrate the development of Ajmal's expertise and confidence, rapidly progressing stages in the learning curve quietly marked by an ever-diminishing contribution in the form of radio guidance from his instructor. While he could never pass for relaxed, Matthew's faith in his students' ability to tackle the course is clearly on the rise.
We're going to use the big ears, and then we're going to also approach for landing. Steady your hands. Put a brake on. Grab towards me. Grab towards me. Grab towards me. Grab towards me. Keep it steady. Hold those brakes. Hold those brakes.
Key to the flight course is development of near instinctive reactions to deal with whatever urgent needs are thrown the pilot's way. In Ajmal's case, flying without the power and balance control enjoyed by able-bodied pilots makes the reactions all the more important, as they all have to be translated into arm movements without the help of his legs.
All right, hands up and fly away.
The required skill set is unique, and the only possible way to hone reaction times that equate to razor sharpness is to repeat movements over and over in as many different situations as possible, then to repeat them some more, again and again.
Your circle is, go and land in your circle. Last minute into wind. Your roll control.
Nothing escapes repetition. Forward takeoffs, rear-facing takeoffs, the multiple intricacies of ridge soaring, performing 180s in a way that doesn't interfere with other flyers, even in a crowded sky, practicing flare to gently increase speed in a way that smooths a landing, and, specifically vital to Ajmal's disability, dipping a wingtip to turn sharply into the wind. In doing so, he flushes energy stored in the wing, a routine task performed on landings by able-bodied flyers, using the weight of their legs and the muscle control of their lower body.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Well done. And the lull came at the perfect
Just
time.
Wow.
Because it's a bit strong now, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit bumpy up there.
Finally, the course completed, and the stresses and strains inherent in their teacher-student relationship behind them, Matthew and Ajmal can talk with light-hearted pride about what they have achieved together.
Yeah, we went through a lot. From those first day beginnings where I thought to myself, how am I going to break it to this guy?
Things are not looking good, yeah.
You will never become a pilot. And taking us to the first top landings then in Sage, where you kind of showed the pilot in you started coming out. And I was like, oh, there's hope, there's change. There's hope on the horizon. And now we finished with the course. Yesterday we had Sedgefield, and on the very last flight you were flying by yourself.
I was actually quite impressed with myself because I was flying, and when they came down, you told me that you were giving similar instructions. I was like, wow, that means I was doing something right.
Yes, very for this. I was very surprised when you said you didn't have any instruction on the radio. So I gave very minimal instruction, but much like I have been saying for the last week at Sage, make use of the lift.
Yeah.
And there you go, turn into the lift, figure 8 into the lift. Roll control, and your roll control was there. You stopped the glider. I said, well, he's listening. That's why I was so surprised. And when you came in for top landing, I said that's a little bit high, and you went out.
Yeah.
And you came back again.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was very convinced that you saw or that you heard everything that I say on the radio.
That's when you're intending it.
And there, when you landed there, I knew that my job was done. My job is done. You flew so well, and it's really impressive to see how far we've come in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to contact him and see, is there any...
So I guess from day one to now, it's just a big change.
Yes. The day before we were at Sage, and you kind of wanted to rush through the program and gave me a high five and said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I said, no. Let's take a step back.
Yeah.
And I knew by then I couldn't let you go.
Yeah.
And skip 24 hours later, the same time in the afternoon on Sage, I just knew, I felt it, and I said, that's it. My job is done.
That's good.
I felt as I become the pilot.
I felt it myself also. Especially, I can't repeat it again and again enough that when I turned right after takeoff, I waited for a few seconds, 10, 15, 20 seconds, no instructions. And I didn't even bother to look at my radio because normally I always switch on the radio, and I said, okay, this time around, he wants me to do everything himself.
Yes, that's it. Well, that's what we were prepping you for the last few days by saying less instruction, much less instruction, and to a final flight all by yourself.
The adventure is complete. The experience of Matthew passing on to Ajmal his philosophically underpinned knowledge of how to fly safely, never mind the odds presented by his student's disability, has transformed them both. 1 hard month has had a profound effect upon both of their lives. Ajmal arrived in South Africa determined to get his flying license, which he has successfully achieved. Even before they set out on this journey together, Matthew wanted to help disabled people savor the joy of flying. Now, having worked so closely with Ajmal, he is certain of that desire. A relationship that began as slightly adversarial has evolved into one of mutual respect that has spawned an enduring friendship. A friendship built on their shared love of something that has obsessed man since early Homo sapiens enviously observed birds crisscrossing the sky above. Flight.